Good morning. Welcome to Rooted Hearts Homestead. Today I'm taking you to my garden, and I wasn't even convinced that I was going to show you guys the garden this year. It's we shall say it is producing and not pretty. So it is early this morning. As you can see, the sun is just rising, and I am out here because it is going to be stinking hot today, and I want to get everything picked that I can. I also wanted to do some grounding, so I don't have my shoes on. We've gotten so many things done. I will do a video on what we did later, but because we got so many things done, I did not shoot a video, and I do apologize for that. I do try and post a video every single week, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and that usually is because I am so crazy busy. So let's start off with this. We've had a lot of new people join us in the past couple weeks, and I'm going to introduce myself and kind of give you a background of who I am and what we do. My name is Kim, and my husband, Joseph, and I started homesteading about 3 years ago. The reason I started homesteading was because my husband was what I like to call deployed to the farm during the summer. And with being on a farmer's budget, I wanted a way to make money or make food for ourselves. One of the best ways that I found to be able to make money or make food for ourselves was simply to grow it and can it. And so in 2019, I started with meat chickens. I had, I think, 60 that first year. I was naive, I should say, on what we could do. We ended up having meat chickens at the very end of the year. I had no idea that we shouldn't do that. And it grew from there. In 2020, I had a huge garden, and I started my adventure on YouTube in 2021, explaining how I was going to do things, what I was going to do, and taking you guys along, documenting what I was doing, not only for myself and for my kids, but also for my extended family and those that I love. It has grown so much, and I'm just so thankful that each and every one of you guys are here. Every person who hits subscribe is just means so much to me, because it's one more person that I'm reaching with my journey, and hopefully that people are learning and seeing and going, hey, I can do this too. And I have to tell you, as a person who did not grow up in the true country with animals and all that on a consistent basis, you can. If you have a little bit, you probably can. So let's get into this video. I wasn't convinced I was going to show you guys my garden this year because, well, it doesn't look like much. Excuse me. And the reason it doesn't look like much is because I'm not much of a gardener. I'm still learning this, and I'm not ashamed. I realized, no matter what people say, I am making food for my family, and that's my goal. My goal is to have food for my family that my family can eat, not just now in the summer, but also throughout the winter months. And I love doing it. I cannot tell you how just incredibly deeply satisfying it is to go down to my basement pantry, which I am working on turning into a larder. I'm very excited about that project. But to go down there, pull stuff off the shelves, to be able to feed my family, to be able to go to my freezer and pull out meat. My family is to the point now where we do not have to purchase any meat if we chose not to eat red meat. We still choose to eat red meat. So I have to figure out a source for that. I don't have enough acreage to raise my own cow. One day I'll have enough acreage to do that. So let me explain to you what I've got in my garden this year. This year I was going to, when I started out, I was going to plant all the things and grow all the things. My house does not have a good spot inside to be able to grow things. So a greenhouse is actually on the list to build this fall. If I had a greenhouse, I could start things and not have to purchase pre-started plants. Like I said, I'm not much of a gardener, so still learning all the pieces. Now, my husband is a farmer, And so he understands the nutrition side of gardening and plant growing, and he's actually very good at it. So every once in a while he'll be like, oh, your plant needs X, and he'll do it. But like I said, he's deployed to the farm right now. He is not around. I saw him this morning for I think 10 minutes. Not even. I think it was 5 actually. I was still asleep because he was headed to the farm, and he didn't get back from the farm until well after dark last night, and it's pretty much that way every single day. That's just part of being a farmer's wife. You learn that you're doing it on your own. So with doing it on my own, I'm also learning on my own. I did not garden growing up, so everything here is a learning experience. So here's some of the things we did this year that is just for fun and to try. Like, why not? One of the things I did was staking my squash and zucchini plants, and that I have actually loved. I would do that every single year. I also put down fabric this year for some of my plants, just stuff that I had. A lot of my homestead is things that I have, and I am making things that I have work. That is an important part to me. I don't want to just go out and purchase something. If it is here, I want to use it. I want to have it. I love being able to reuse things and build stuff with just things I have. Now, some of these things are things I've purchased before, but the important part is I'm working on reusing. I find that to be so good for myself. It fulfills my creative need. I am a creative person, and I love creating things, and it also helps with my budget. Another thing I did in my garden this year that was a little different than usual is I put down cardboard and then mulch in the rows. And I've really enjoyed having rows that are relatively weed-free, or they're weed-free enough that my kids can go through and weed them. I think something that's important is including your kids in the gardening, because then they see where your food comes from. Otherwise, they're just like, oh yeah, mom did that. My kids, I want them to fully get the experience and enjoy it. They come out and pick things. So when tomato season hits, they will be all over the tomatoes. That is their favorite part. I always plant a raised bed of cherry tomatoes just for them to go out and pick. It's so important to me to have that. Now let's talk weeds. I have them, and I'm not ashamed of it. I had to get to a point where I wasn't ashamed of the weeds in my garden. The weeds are not stopping anything from growing. However, that doesn't mean that we don't try and pull them and make things nicer. So what I've been doing is just 1 row a day. I bring out the kids. Today we won't do it because it's going to be too hot to weed. If we weed, it'll have to be in the evening on these hot summer days. We pull all the weeds and we take them and put them to either our chickens or to the pigs that are up here on our property. So with weeding 1 row a day, it means because of my soil, which loves weeds, that the weeds are still going to grow, but it's not unmanageable. I've been pretty happy with it. Our popcorn is pretty full of weeds, but the popcorn is still growing. Again, I'm not ashamed. This is part of who we are and what's going on. One day, I will have a weed-free garden. But right now, my focus is actually more on my kids than my garden, and so that's where I put my priority. With having 5 kids, I want to make sure that they are well taken care of and loved and growing and thriving and enjoying summer just as much, if not more, than my garden. So that's where my priority is. So let's get to picking. I have squash, green beans, and eggplant, all that are ready to be picked. And yeah, come along while I pick. This is where I'm hoping to encourage you. So I have my basket here, and this is from a 30-foot row, which has 10 to 15 summer squash plants. I have yellow zucchini, green zucchini, crookneck. I think those are the 3 varieties I have. And then 4 bean plants, and probably about, I think I have like 8 eggplant, and it's the Japanese long variety. This is what came out of that. This is my pile of green beans here, pile of squash, and then eggplant Jenga. And this is the part where I say you can do it too. This did not take much space at all. And I still have more down there that I have to go pick. But I just want to encourage you that even if you think, hey, I don't know what to do, there's always something to do. So I will be making squash pickles. Look it up, summer squash pickles. Oh, the best on sandwiches. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the eggplant yet. I will probably end up canning the green beans or giving them away. I always like to do a little bit of a giveaway with my garden because that's what it's here for. It is meant to bless people and to bless us. And like I said, I am simply gardening to be able to feed my family. I hope you enjoyed this little kind of what I do with my garden. And like I said, weeds are a big part of it. So don't be afraid of the weeds. Just work on them every single day, just a little bit. Set aside 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can garden. If it's in a raised bed, it's in a raised bed. If it's under plastic, it's under plastic. If it's in a deep mulch method, it's in a deep mulch method. There's no one right way to do it. And that's what I've really learned is you need to garden and do where you're at. If you're not able to garden, then find a local person who does garden and ask them, hey, how can I help you garden so that I can benefit from your garden? I hope you enjoyed this little video of my garden, and we'll see you guys next week.